Morning guys, Thursday morning. I'm getting ready to head into the office. Got an auction this evening to prepare for, amongst other things. But in this video I wanted to quickly talk about how we can kind of identify fig cuttings that are in the process of actively dying. Now the fig cuttings might appear like they're still healthy, but they are in fact starting to suffer and die. And the main way we're going to do this, and the main way that we can identify this, your biggest tool will be these clear cups. So I want to look at these two figs here. This is a Del San Juan Graham, and this is a fig called Seleposica. It's a Greek fig. Now both of these figs have been in the outdoor grow tent for the majority of their lives, and they both put on roots. Neither of these plants has put on any leaves, although this one looks like it's just about to, if it will focus on that stem, just about to put off a leaf bud as we speak. So they are looking like they're doing fine. We have a little bit of swelling buds on this plant here as well, but what we're looking at in these particular plants is the roots. So when plants initially root out, they have these beautiful white roots. The white roots are healthy looking, they look great and fine, and then they should expand naturally throughout the whole pot. Now these pots aren't totally without hope. You can see that there are white roots in both of these pots, but what I'd like to focus on is the signs that this plant might actually be failing. And you can see by having a look at these roots as they go along that some of them start quite right and they've got whiteness that run through them, but there are also patches of brown that run through, roots that are starting to lose their color, they're starting to get thin, they take on a kind of slimier appearance, they've got this kind of brown coloration, and this is the sign of roots that are actively starting to rot. Now these plants are quite resilient, and you can lose roots and they can grow back quite nicely and quite easily. This plant here is another good example where you can see at the base of this plant, even though we've got healthy roots running down the side, we're starting to get this slimy kind of greeny brown color, until right at the base here we have an entire patch of what looks like roots that are entirely rotting out. Now these plants are very wet right now. They were watered about 10 minutes ago, and as I've mentioned in my other videos, and most notably my fig experiment video, which I'll try to link into here so that you can see it, I actually believe that watering frequency assists these plants. And I had one plant, a Martinegra ramata, which was doing this exact same thing. It was brought up in the outdoor grow tent. It had put on some nice white roots, and those roots had started, just like these ones, to turn brown and to start receding. And so if these were left to continue as they were and no adjustments were made and no changes were made, what you would find is that these roots would fade and fade until you couldn't see any visible roots on the side of the pots at all, and eventually the rot would spread to the base of the plant, and then after that the whole cutting will rot out and fail and die. So it really is important that you catch it at this early stage and you start to take some steps to address this. And the steps that I'm taking, I've moved these indoors just like that Martinegra ramata, and I am increasing the frequency of my watering. They were on a schedule of approximately every 2 days in the outdoor grow tent, so that might have made a difference, where in the indoor tent they are receiving daily watering and very occasionally twice daily waterings. I'm making sure that these plants are in contact with consistently fresh, continual water all day long. Now the Martinegra ramata, who had the same problem, took this exact approach, and in fact I made a video of it at the time titled something like "How to Stop Your Fig Cuttings from Dying." I'll link that one as well if I work out how to do it. So you can click on that and you can watch that Martinegra ramata, and I'll follow up talk with an overlay of that Martinegra ramata plant as it is today, so you can see how it looks compared to the last video that I took of it. So these are the roots. Now in comparison to these roots, it's also good to have a look at some healthy roots. Now these roots are an example of healthy fig cutting roots. They are thick roots, they are vibrant roots, they're not bright right, but you can see that they've got this nice healthy kind of thick appearance to them. All of these cuttings that I have that are in this tent are on that 1 daily water schedule, and you can see that These roots are absolutely gorgeous. They are a sight to behold. They are beautiful. They are wondrous things. So I find it very, very hard to believe that overwatering figs is the cause of the root rot that you're seeing here. So let's overlay two of those plants right next door to each other so we can very clearly see the difference in how these roots are appearing, the appearance of healthy roots compared to non-healthy roots. And side by side you can see very, very clearly how these roots here are just looking a bit sickly compared to these roots here. So we'll see how we go with these. As I said, my treatment approach is number one, we've moved it into the indoor tent, and there could be some other factors that are playing a difference. So in the outdoor tent, there's a lot more temperature variation because it is not in an insulated building like this indoor tent is, which means at night time when the lights go off, the temperatures drop quite significantly. They probably don't go below, I'd say, 9 or 10 degrees at night, but at the same time they do definitely fluctuate a lot more than the steady, consistent temperature in this climate controlled house. Secondly, in the indoor grow to outdoor grow tent, and this is another one that came from that tent, there is a lot more algae. So there's a lot of algae in that outdoor tent compared to these plants. There is still some algae growing on these plants, but in general these plants are fairly algae free compared to these ones here. So there's algae growing in amongst the soil of this pot here. And so maybe that is one of the causes. The outdoor tent, as we've seen, if you've been following my beneficial bugs videos, you'll see that there's been a host of pests in that tent. So maybe it's something like a spider mites have decided to attack the stem. I don't know if spider mites eat the stems, but maybe they do. Maybe some other sort of pest, I'm not certain. Another really good example of the watering every single day and how it kind of seems to be a good approach. This is the experiment, which I'm sure you've been following. I'll try once again to link this video as well. We've put on our first roots for this particular cutting. This is in the experiment group that's been watered every single day since the day the cutting was stuck in the ground. It's formed its first roots and they are perfect. They are absolutely delicious, thick white roots. So based upon that, this plant, which is also looking extremely healthy, is doing really, really well. So based upon all of this, I can't see that this problem is being caused by overwatering when the 99% of all the other plants that I have are being watered on a daily schedule, and it is not causing these problems. So we'll keep an eye on these guys, just like we keep an eye on everything that I talk about. We'll follow them up in a week, 2 weeks, something like that. Maybe we'll lose them. Maybe they'll survive. Maybe they'll flourish. Who knows, except time itself and us in about a week. In the meantime, guys, have a great Thursday, and I'll catch you all in the next one.